we're going to try to deal with this as a conversation, and I've kind of broken it up into about 4 different areas. There's a bit of background, which I think is important to try to understand the work a lot better, and then go into a few compositional, formal observations, and then the subject of the work and some context too. Tim mentioned the Sulman. So how does it feel to win the Sulman?
Well, as we discussed on the phone last night, Con, it's a pretty good experience in one sense. People say to me, "Oh, you won an award." When I go to AA, for instance, all my AA mates are really excited that you won an award, but everybody else is kind of cool about it. So, I'm going to keep going to AA, I reckon. Enthusiastic about their response is enthusiastic in a fundamental way.
This is not the first. This is not the first time you've been in the Sulman or
No.
in the Archibald, is it?
No.
But it's the first time you've won the prize. Is that right?
I don't like prizes.
Why don't you like prizes? They're everywhere in Australia.
Yeah, they are. It's predominant. The predominant characteristic of the Australian art scene is distorted, warped, and fucked up by the prize system. No question. It's all over the place. And I meet artists who are defined by their experience with prizes.
We should probably put a language warning, but
you got to get.
Anyway,
really?
like.
I don't see any kids. Oh, baby.
Oh, great.
Fuck. She's beautiful, by the way.
I'm gonna get away from prizes because obviously it takes you in a dark area.
Look, just get into AA because everyone's really happy in AA. Enthusiastic.
I think one of the things that really surprised me about your background is that at the age of 10 you were always in Europe, looking at Picasso in Vienna. You were at the Hermitage looking at the works there, and there was one particular work that struck me was Giovanni Battista. Yeah, thank you very much. And his painting of the Triumph.
The Manius, it's a good painting.
Yeah, thank you.
It's a good painting.
Can you just
I'll run you through it, Con.
No.
This is a conversation.
No. I'm leading the conversation.
Fuck them. Listen, fuck them.
And but the thing is, I want you to go back to that initial experience of seeing that painting and what that actually meant to you, because I think it's important to understand it in the context of this.
Yes. All right. In this show, yes. Yeah. In this particular exhibition, yes.
Yeah, I think so.
All right. Shall I converse with the assembled?
Well, no. Let's go into.
You're in the daunting, all these faces.
You're in the Hermitage.
And I paint faces. I'm used to it. So what went down was my father was a diplomat, and that's not to diminish in any way my mother's contribution to that relationship. She worked for the UN and the IAEA and the New Zealanders, actually. It's weird. But so it was a European pubescence. My pubescence was European by definition, and it was a stark contrast, and I wanted to address it in this exhibition, this anomaly, growing up in Europe, yet coming back to boarding school, in a brutal boarding school here in Australia. And hang on, the painting that you're referring to was was always in my mind's eye, and that's that's a phrase that's underused, the mind's eye. And that painting, I was about 10, you're right. And I was confronted with the Hermitage, and on numerous occasions actually. But, pardon me. This painting, Giovanni's painting is the Triumph of Manius, and it's an elephant. It's Hannibal going through the Triumphal Arch, and in any European city you experience the Triumphal Arch, and this motherfucker nailed the arch. But the elephant, he'd never seen an elephant before, and it had trunks. And as a child, I was looking at it, and I thought, you can do anything in painting. You can do anything at all, So when I refer to that elephant, also being an alcoholic, there's the pink elephant as well. So I didn't know I was going to be an alcoholic at 10, but I like the segue.
So, okay, and so that experience of that elephant and how it was portrayed.
You can do anything, Con.
You
can do anything.
And the commander on the sedan and.
Yeah, but it was all, the physiology was wrong. It was atavistic. But it was all wrong. And I thought, well, you can get away with anything with painting. No, it was intrinsic, and in particular to this show, that you can get away with anything.
Because I think that's very important to for us to understand, that you don't seem to be inhibited by anything, and you tend to.
Not with painting.
No. Now we'll get a little bit further down the track on that.
Not with painting.
One of the things that isn't present in the subject of your work is politics, which is kind of strange considering that your father was also in Beijing during 85, 90 from memory.
He was apolitical at that stage. It was later.
Later, was it?
He became politically active, yes. He was a public servant.
Yeah.
These guys paid his
But you would travel backwards and forwards from Sydney to Beijing, is that?
Yeah.
And this was a time just I think 89 you were there, just after the Tiananmen Square massacre.
My mother was evacuated, yes.
And
my father was there at Tiananmen, yes.
Yeah, and so what did that experience do to you?
It had no impact.
No?
I just wanted him. I just didn't want to be in boarding school.
Right. Okay.
So he was actually there, smuggling out. He was a very brave man, my father. He was smuggling out the footage with his diplomatic immunity through the airport. The footage that we all saw. That was my dad. The world saw. Tank Man is that cataclysmic footage that is not yet recognised in China, or if it is, it's disregarded. But we all know that happened because my father smuggled that footage to the Beijing International Airport and with his diplomatic immunity. The CNN journalist gave him the tape. You see, that shit wouldn't go down now because of the phone, but yeah, no, Dad did that.
Yeah, okay. I guess that okay, so that incident later, because
I just missed him.
Experiences are really important.
No, I just missed him.
Okay.
And I didn't know that he would. I didn't know. Look, there was total carnage in Tiananmen. Dad told me. Dad told me what he saw, and it was fucking horrible. It was disgusting what went down. There were tanks running over people. They weren't there to say, "Hey, stop." They were there to kill. They were there to fucking annihilate, and they did. And Dad saw all that, but he'd seen seen other things too. He was a journalist, but you know, mate, all I was a lonely little boy in boarding school wanting my dad. So it didn't register with me then, the significance of what was happening around me. Living in China, it didn't register with me.
Yeah.
And the people I was meeting, who are now, in their own way, extraordinarily interesting and influential people, they were just, you know, what was I, 16?
Yes.
And I'm still friends with those people now. So the experience is subjective.
So I guess.
But I was painting though.
Yeah. Okay. So then you decided you left school, and then did you go into art school and?
Correct.
But you didn't stay there long. And why didn't you stay there long?
They're a bunch of pricks. Art school. I loathe them all. I loathe them, Con. You've got no idea.
So
You've got no idea my sense of loathing and the inverted proposition emotionally was, oh man, these guys are sleazers. I mean, it was Mandy Martin and what was the other loser she was married to at the time? I mean, they were running the painting department. They were such jerks. And I was, Ruth Waller. We like Ruth Waller. She's good.
Okay,
Sorry.
well, perhaps
Ruth Waller's
perhaps there's a bit of belated feedback for them.
Well, they didn't remember me. Trust me.
But anyway, like the point is that you're primarily a self-taught artist.
Yeah.
And so that's
I did
a
it
fair
myself.
comment
Yep.
to say that. So.
Yep.
And when I want to go into the paintings.
That's arrogance, by the way.
But
then I look at Nolan. I've looked at Nolan through my whole career.
Yeah.
Every time I'm in trouble, I look at Nolan. When he was working at Fairfield Hats, he was doing those little industrial collages and all that. Every single time I'm in trouble, I look at Nolan.
Okay, so.
Self-taught.
Yeah, well, there's other influences, and we'll talk
Sorry,
about
I still
that.
feel I have to justify that I'm but no, most good artists are actually. Avoid institutions, kids. Oh, kids evaporated. No, the little ones don't.
The studies, you don't do studies before you paint, do you? No, you just go straight into it.
Yep.
Okay, so and
I leave the mistakes in too. I leave the errors in. I think that's critical.
Why?
Well, you try to manoeuvre a narrative. You're trying to place a situation within its